let's talk about the course outline and what we're going to cover. Well, the first is you're watching the introduction module. So we're going to run through the course outline again, and then we'll kick right into the content. Next, we're going to talk about vCloud Automation Center as a whole. We'll talk about what the product does, what the platform aims to do, the different components and pieces of it, and also some typical use cases. So we'll give you a good foundation on why you'd want to use the product before we actually go into each of the individual components. Next, we'll talk about one of the key components of VCAC, which is the identity service. So vCloud Automation Center uses authentication between the components and also between other endpoints and vSphere components. So we'll go over the identity service and how it handles authentication, certificate checking, permissions, and roles. We'll get really in depth on that. Then we'll talk about the vCloud Automation Center server. So that's the main piece that serves up the web interface. It controls the self-service catalog, business logic, approval workflows. We'll really get in depth on what the server module provides and also how it interacts with the other services that we'll talk about. Next, we'll talk about the vCloud Automation Center Infrastructure as a Service, or IaaS component. This is actually a component that you install on top of a Windows server, and it's responsible for talking to endpoints. So maybe physical servers, maybe cloud endpoints like vCloud Hybrid Service or Amazon Web Services. Maybe it's talking to virtual machines. So the IaaS component is kind of like the hands in this puzzle. So it actually reaches out and does provisioning and gets data back from all those different sources. So we'll cover that in depth. Next, we'll look at vSphere and other required infrastructure components. Now, while vCloud Automation Center is a standalone product, it does require an interface with a lot of the other vSphere ecosystem products. So we'll look at what those are, how it talks to those, and then also some required infrastructure components in the background, such as DNS and NTP, that are required to keep this machine running at a well-oiled pace. Lastly, we'll talk about architecture overview and deployment options. So vCloud Automation Center has a lot of different ways you can deploy it and a lot of integrations into other components and servers and services. So we want to look at what the architecture looks like and also how you would deploy it depending on your use case, your environment size, production versus development. So we'll really get in depth on that. That's it for the intro. Wanted to keep it quick, so now we can get right into the content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next module.